4 people rise from their seats, 2 Palestinians, 2 Germans, and the woman's voice cuts through the cabin noise like a blade. This plane is now under the control of the Popular Front for the liberation of Palestine and the revolutionaries. Around me, children cry. Someone screams. A man clamps my arm so hard it hurts, while the German with cold eyes barks, "Stay in your seats. Do not move. Do not speak." And I feel my throat close because they're already marking the Jewish faces, Hebrew books, Stars of David, and one wrong sound could cost us everything. Where are they taking us? And will we ever see home again? This is my story when I, an ordinary passenger on a plane turned prison, faced armed hijackers who said they would kill me and my people if their deadly demands were not met. And I had to fight to stay alive, while brave soldiers risked everything to save us before it was too late. But before I continue, I would like to know what you would do if armed militants took control of your plane and threatened to harm you and your fellow passengers unless their demands were met. Also, where are you watching from? I'd love to know how far this story travels. I'm sitting in my seat on Air France Flight 139, watching the sea coast disappear under us. The plane is full, 246 of us passengers, mostly Jewish and Israeli families, heading home from holiday or business trips. The crew of 12 seems relaxed as we rise away from Athens. This is meant to be the easy part of the journey, the last leg to Paris before linking flights take us home to Tel Aviv. Then everything changes. 4 people rise from their seats, 2 people from Palestine, 2 Germans. They have guns. The woman's voice cuts through the cabin noise like a blade. This plane is now under the control of the Popular Front for the liberation of Palestine and the revolutionaries. My heart stops. Around me, children start crying. Someone screams. The man next to me grabs my arm so tight it hurts. This can't be happening. This was meant to be a normal flight. The terrorists move with experienced skill, herding the crew toward the cockpit. One of them, a German with cold eyes, waves his pistol at us passengers. "Stay in your seats. Do not move. Do not speak." I can hear the captain's voice over the speaker, but it's different now. Stressed, careful. We're changing course. Instead of Paris, we're heading somewhere else. Somewhere I don't want to go. The woman terrorist walks down the aisle studying our faces. She stops at passengers who look Jewish, who have Hebrew books, who wear Stars of David. She's making a list. My stomach turns to ice when I realize what she's doing. We land in Benghazi first. The heat hits us like a wall when they open the doors. Then we're airborne again, flying deeper into Africa. The terrorists are talking about a country in Africa now, about someone called Idi Amin. I close my eyes and try to pretend this is all a nightmare, but when I open them, the guns are still there. The fear is still there, and I know that whatever happens next, nothing will ever be the same. Let me go back in time to understand how we got here. This is Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin, a man who has seen war up close and knows its true cost. He sits in his office in Jerusalem, receiving the first reports about the hijacking. His face is stone, but I can see the weight settling on his shoulders. Every Israeli life is valuable to him, but he also knows that giving in to terrorists only invites more terror. Across from him sits Defense Minister Shimon Peres, younger, more forceful. While Rabin weighs every option carefully, Peres is already thinking about military solutions. "We cannot negotiate with these people," he says. "Every giving in we make puts more of our people at risk." But the hijackers aren't just random criminals. The Palestinians among them have lost family members in conflicts with Israel. They've seen their friends imprisoned, their homes destroyed. To them, this isn't terrorism. It's war by other means. They believe they're fighting for justice, even if their methods are horrific. The Germans are different. They're part of the revolutionary cells, leftist extremists who see themselves as fighting against power. They've convinced themselves that violence against civilians is acceptable if it serves their cause. Their beliefs have distorted their humanity into something cold and calculating. Then there's Idi Amin, Uganda's dictator. This is a man who has killed hundreds of thousands of his own people, who sees himself as the king of Africa. He welcomes the hijackers not out of sympathy for their cause, but because it gives him a chance to humiliate Israel and the West. He plays both sides, offering to help while secretly supporting the terrorists. Back in Israel, families gather around radios and televisions, waiting for news. Parents who sent their children on summer trips now face the possibility they may never see them again. The entire nation holds its breath. I'm back to the main timeline now, and the situation has gotten worse. We've been at Entebbe Airport for days. The empty terminal feels like a prison. Ugandan soldiers with machine weapons stand guard outside while the terrorists pace inside, their requests growing more clear and more scary. Then comes the moment I've been fearing. The terrorists start calling out names, Jewish names, Israeli names. You, and you move to the other side of the terminal. They're dividing us. The non-Jewish passengers are being released, but those of us who are Jewish or Israeli are kept behind. The message is clear. We are the real victims. We are the ones they plan to kill if their requests aren't met. I watch as families are split apart. A French woman refuses to leave her Jewish husband. Some of the crew, led by Captain Michel Bacos, choose to stay with us even though they could go free. I will not abandon my passengers, he says simply. The due date is July 1st. If Israel doesn't release 53 Palestinian prisoners and pay $5 million, they will start killing us, one by one, on live television. In Jerusalem, the cabinet meets in emergency session. The debate is fierce. Some leaders argue for talks. What are 53 prisoners compared to over 100 harmless people? Others, led by Paris, insist that giving in will only encourage more attacks. But as the hours tick by, it becomes clear that negotiations are failing. The terrorists aren't interested in agreement. They want total victory or total chaos. That's when Rabin makes the decision that will change everything. Prepare for a military option, he tells his commanders. If we cannot save them through talks, we will save them through action. The mission gets a code name, Operation Thunderbolt. But everyone knows it's a hopeless risk. Entebbe is 2,500 miles away, in the heart of enemy territory. The odds of success are small. The odds of catastrophe are high. The thing about hopeless confrontations is that beneath the outside, a hidden force is gathering, ready to break the weak stability and change everything in an instant. The central fight isn't just between us hostages and our capturers. It's between two completely different ways of seeing the world. The airplane takers believe that harm against ordinary people is acceptable if it serves their political goals. They see us not as human beings, but as symbols of everything they hate about Israel and the West. Israel faces a very difficult choice. Talk with terrorists, and you encourage more acts of terror. Refuse to talk, and harmless people die. Launch a save mission, and you risk not only the hostages' lives, but also international criticism and possible war with Uganda. The airplane takers have every advantage. They're on friendly territory, protected by Ugandan soldiers. They have time on their side. Every day that passes weakens Israel's position and makes stronger their own. They know that the longer this continues, the more force will build on Israel to give in. But Israel has advantages too. This is a nation that has survived by not willing to accept the not acceptable. Every Israeli knows that if they don't fight for their people, no one else will. The military is experienced, well-organized, and determined, and they have something the airplane takers don't expect: the factor of surprise. The clock is ticking. every hour that passes brings us closer to the deadline. In the terminal, we hostages try to stay strong, but fear gnaws at us. Some pray, some cry, some just stare at the walls, lost in their own thoughts. The airplane takers grow more nervous as time passes. They know Israel is planning something, but they don't know what. They increase security, bring in more Ugandan soldiers, and make more threats. But deep down, I think they're starting to realize they may have bitten off more than they can chew. While we sit in that very hot terminal, not knowing if we'll live or die, Israel is moving heaven and earth to save us. Mossad agents are gathering intelligence from every possible source. They interview the released hostages, ask them for information about the terminal layout, the number of guards, the hijackers' routines. British intelligence, still recovering from their own battles with terrorism, quietly shares what they know about Entebbe Airport. The Israelis get their hands on the original construction blueprints. They study satellite photos. They even track down the Israeli construction company that built part of the terminal years earlier. At a secret base, Israeli commandos are building an exact replica of the Entebbe terminal. They practice the assault over and over, timing every movement, planning for every contingency. The unit is led by Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Netanyahu, a brilliant officer whose younger brother will one day become prime minister. The plan is extremely bold. 4 C-130 Hercules transport planes and 2 Boeing 707s will fly 2,500 miles, mostly at night and at low altitude to avoid radar. They'll land at Entebbe without permission, storm the terminal, remove the hijackers, and take out all the hostages before Ugandan additional troops can respond. Everything has to go perfectly. If the planes are detected, if the assault team is delayed, if the hostages panic, any one of 100 things could turn the mission into a massacre. Meanwhile, back in the terminal, we're living on borrowed time. The hijackers extend the deadline to July 4th, giving themselves more time to discuss, but also giving Israel more time to plan. We don't know it yet, but that extension will save our lives. Idi Amin visits us, playing the role of concerned mediator while secretly working together with the hijackers. He's a huge man with a booming voice and changeable moods. One moment he's joking with us, the next he's threatening us. We never know which Amin we're going to get.
On July 3rd, the Israeli cabinet meets for the final time. The discussion is strong, but the decision is agreed. Operation Thunderbolt is a go. That evening, as the sun sets over the Sinai Peninsula, 4 large C-130s and 2 Boeing 707s take off from Sharm el-Sheikh. Inside the cargo holds are Land Rovers, a black Mercedes that looks like Amin's formal car, medical equipment, and enough fuel for the return journey. The commandos check their weapons one last time. They've trained for this moment for days, but they know that no quantity of training can prepare them for what they're about to face. They're flying into the uncertain, into unfriendly land, with only their skill and bravery to protect them. The flight takes 7 hours. The planes fly low to avoid radar, following a path over the Red Sea and down the coast of Africa. Radio quiet is kept. Any communication could give them away. As they near Entebbe, the aircraft drivers can see the lights of the airport in the far. The control tower is still functioning, but they know that within minutes it will be under Israeli control, or they'll all be dead. Back in the terminal, we hostages have no idea what's coming. We're trying to sleep on the hard floor, using our luggage as pillows. Some people are sick from the heat and pressure. Others are praying quietly. The hijackers pace back and forth, their weapons always ready. None of us know that in just a few hours, our bad dream will either end in rescue or in death.
This is the moment when a brave rescue starts into confusion, changing the fate of hostages and heroes forever. At exactly 11 p.m. on July 4th, 1976, the first C-130 touches down at Entebbe Airport. The cargo door opens and a black Mercedes rolls out, followed by 2 Land Rovers. To the Ugandan guards, it looks like Idi Amin arriving for another visit. But as the vehicles approach the airport building, everything breaks out into action. Israeli special soldiers pour out of the cars, their weapons shooting. "Get down, get down!" they shout in Hebrew, English, and French. "We are Israeli soldiers, stay on the floor!" The airport building breaks out in confusion. Gunfire bounces off the walls. People are screaming, running for cover. I press myself against the floor, my heart beating so hard I think it might burst. The terrorists are caught completely off guard. 2 of them are killed right away. The 3rd tries to run, but is cut down before he can reach cover. The 4th, a woman, manages to get off a few shots before she too falls. But the Ugandan soldiers outside are fighting back. Bullets smash through the windows. One hostage, an elderly man, is hit by friendly fire in the mix-up. Another is caught in the shooting from both sides between the special soldiers and a terrorist. A 3rd is killed by a terrorist's final desperate act. Lieutenant Colonel Netanyahu is leading the attack when a Ugandan sniper's bullet finds its mark. He falls, fatally wounded, but his men continue the fight. They clear the airport building room by room, making sure every threat is removed. Outside, other special soldiers are destroying Ugandan MiG fighters to prevent chase. The control tower is shooting at them, but they return fire and silence the guns. The entire mission is supposed to take less than an hour, and every second counts. Move, move, move. The special soldiers are rushing us toward the waiting planes. Some hostages are too surprised to move. Others are helping the wounded. The special soldiers carry those who can't walk, making sure no one is left behind. The sound of approaching vehicles tells us that Ugandan additional troops are coming, but the special soldiers have done their job. In 53 minutes, they've removed all the terrorists, stopped the Ugandan resistance, and loaded 102 hostages onto the rescue planes. As we take off into the night, I look back at Entebbe Airport. Fires are burning where the MiGs were destroyed. The airport building that was our prison is now our freedom. But the cost has been high. 3 hostages dead, and a brave Israeli officer who gave his life to save ours. The planes are climbing away from Uganda, but we're not safe yet. Idi Amin is very angry at being embarrassed, and he has fighter jets that could shoot us down. That's why the commandos destroyed the MiGs, to make sure we could escape. We stop in Nairobi to replenish fuel. The Kenyan government has secretly agreed to help, but they're taking a huge risk. If Amin finds out, there will be consequences. And there are. Within days of our rescue, Amin orders the slaughter of hundreds of Kenyans living in Uganda. He also executes Ugandan soldiers he suspects of helping the Israelis. His rage knows no bounds. One hostage isn't with us on the flight home. Dora Block, an elderly woman, was taken to a Ugandan hospital before the raid. After our rescue, Amin's soldiers drag her from her hospital bed and murder her. She becomes the final victim of this terrible ordeal. As we fly over the Mediterranean, heading home to Israel, the reality of what happened begins to sink in. We're alive, we're free. But the cost has been huge, not just for us, but for harmless people in Kenya and Uganda who had nothing to do with the hijacking. The world is already reacting. Some countries commend Israel for its courage and skill. Others criticize the breach of Ugandan independence. The United Nations will debate the raid for weeks, with some calling it heroic and others calling it illegal. But for us survivors, the politics don't matter. We're going home to our families. We're going to hug our children, kiss our spouses, and try to rebuild our broken lives. Operation Thunderbolt is over, but its impact will last forever. In 53 minutes, Israeli commandos traveled 2,500 miles, removed 4 hijackers, defeated Ugandan resistance, and rescued 102 hostages. Only one Israeli soldier died, Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Netanyahu, whose giving up his life saved all of our lives. The operation sends a message that repeats around the world. Israel will go to any length to protect its people. No distance is too far, no risk too great, no enemy too powerful. If you endanger Israeli civilians, you will face the penalty. But the victory comes with a price. Hundreds of innocent Kenyans die in Amin's retaliation. Dora Bloch is murdered in her hospital bed. The example of military rescue operations will encourage both heroes and villains in the years to come. At the United Nations, representatives discuss whether Israel's actions were lawful. Some discuss that no country has the right to violate another's independence, even to save lives. Others insist that when a government supports terrorism, it loses its right to protection. For us survivors, these debates feel distant and theoretical. We know what we experienced. We know who saved us and who tried to kill us. We know that without the courage of those Israeli commandos, we would all be dead. Years later, when people ask me about Entebbe, I tell them it was the longest week of my life and the shortest rescue in history. I tell them about the fear, the doubt, the moment when we thought we were going to die. But I also tell them about the courage, not just of the soldiers who saved us, but of the crew members who stayed with us, the passengers who helped each other, and the families who never gave up hope. The forest planted in Kenya to respect Bruce Mackenzie, the minister who helped make our rescue possible, still grows today. It's a living reminder that heroism comes in many forms, and that the price of freedom is often paid by those who never sought glory. Operation Thunderbolt showed that a small nation with the will to act can accomplish the impossible. It showed that terrorism, no matter how well planned or well supported, cannot defeat the human spirit. And it showed that sometimes the only way to keep peace is to be prepared for war, and we came home changed. The Israel we returned to was different too, more confident, more decided, more aware of both its power and its duties. The raid on Entebbe became part of our national story, a reminder of what we can achieve when we refuse to accept the unacceptable. The hijackers thought they could break our will by endangering our lives. Instead, they discovered something they never expected, that some things are worth fighting for, some beliefs are worth dying for, and some people will never, ever give up.